Chapter 22. Ruby's legs felt like jelly under her. They wobbled, and she sat down hard, her back against the bridge railing. Melba stood there, a puzzled look on her face, as if trying to make up her mind. Then she sat down next to Ruby. She was wearing a long brown wig, an enormous black hat, and purple gloves. When she sat down, her sundress covered her legs, knees to ankles. Her toes peeked out from under it, from where they were nestled in delicate white sandals. Ruby raised a dusty big toe and tried to think about what to do next. Get up? Run away? Spit on Melba? Nothing seemed quite right. Her hands shook in her lap. She opened them wide and clutched her kneecaps. The lake made a lapping sound below them where the water met the shore. Melba broke the silence. "I wanted to talk to you." She smoothed her dress down her legs to her ankles. Ruby's head throbbed. She squeezed her knees with her hands. Melba sucked in a breath. "I know you threw away my note. Stop, Melba. Just stop." Ruby scooted away from Melba. "I don't care what you want. I want to apologize." Melba's voice had a hollow sound to it. "You can't. I won't let you." Now Ruby stood and faced Melba. "I don't want to hear it. You killed my chicks." Melba's face was hidden under the brim of her hat as Ruby stood over her. Her gloved hands were folded quietly in her lap, and she gave a little shudder. Ruby felt a stab of triumph, and it carried her along on a wave of anger. "I don't care what you have to say. You can't bring them back. I don't care what you say from now on about anything. My grandpa would have come home last summer, no matter what. He always came home. Say whatever you want. Tell everybody. I'm not afraid of you anymore." Ruby's face flushed and her throat was on fire. She leaned toward Melba, so angry she was shaking. With her finger, she jabbed Melba hard on the shoulder. "It's your turn, Melba Jane. I'm going to tell everybody in this town just what a rotten person you are, just how mean you are, how hateful. How you wanted me to believe it was my fault, that my grandpa died, that your daddy died, that the whole accident happened. Maybe I'll just come to the operetta after all and tell everybody tonight. I could tell the whole town while you were standing right there on the stage with me." Ruby's throat had closed up, and she had to squeeze the last few words out. She stopped and took a deep breath and swallowed. "Then I'm going to tell them how my chicks died, and I'm going to make sure they know that it was all your fault. You killed them, Melba Jane, and I will never forget it." For a moment neither girl moved, and there was no sound, just the echo of Ruby's words hanging in the air above them. Then the summer noises returned, and Ruby stood up straight to collect herself. She felt lightheaded. Melba kept her head down, her face still hidden by the brim of her hat. Then she spoke. "Yes, I did." Her voice trembled. "I did. Mama says—" She didn't finish the sentence. She reached into her dress pocket and pulled out a handkerchief, then removed her gloves, pulling slowly on each finger. Ruby watched her. "You know what I wonder about?" Melba asked. Ruby's stomach did a flutter as she saw that Melba had calluses on her palms. "I wonder if my daddy was scared that night." Melba clutched her gloves. "I wonder if he was awake, and if he was, did he think about me? I wonder about that." Ruby wouldn't hear this, wouldn't think about this. "Go away, Melba Jane." Now Melba had the handkerchief in her hand, dabbing at the sweat collecting on her forehead and around her ears, dripping from the wig. Then she stood, tucked her handkerchief into her dress pocket, and walked to the opposite side of the bridge. An old pickup truck clattered over it, slowed, but did not stop. Melba stared at the lake where the sun sparkled low and golden on the water. "I miss my daddy." A numbness spread through Ruby. She stood as still as she could, willing Melba Jane to go away. And she did. Melba's sandals tapped across the bridge as she walked toward the schoolhouse. Chapter 23. The moon rose in a dusky blue sky. It wouldn't be dark yet for close to an hour, but in summer the 8 o'clock light of evening was the best. Ruby had come home to an empty house. Her mother was helping with the punch and cookies to be served after the operetta, and had left Ruby a note. "Big salad in fridge. Eat up. Come watch. Love you." Now out in the greenhouse Ruby read some P-words to Bemmie, who clucked like a happy fool on her nest. She could hear faint peeping from Bemmie's one egg. Tonight would be the night. She was sure of it. It would take some time, several more hours probably, but by morning there would be a new chick. She couldn't get Melba out of her head. She would go to the operetta. She wouldn't. Yes, she would. No, she wouldn't. No, yes, no. She couldn't concentrate. Peony people. Pepper and salt, she sighed. Pepper and salt made her think sweet and sour, which made her think lemon drops, which made her think about her grandpa, which made her think about the lake and the bridge and Melba. All the fight was out of Melba. What was the matter with her? Ruby felt like she was just beginning to fight. It felt good to have the tables turned. She would go to the schoolhouse. Yes. No. She reached for Rosebud, who squawked out of her hands and hopped onto the dictionary as if to say, "Keep reading." A breeze began to cool the hot day. It carried with it the sound of the Hallelujah Band playing in the schoolhouse. The operetta had begun. Her mamma was there. The whole town was there, except her and Miss Eula. Ruby hadn't had a letter from Miss Eula in over a week. Maybe she had decided to stay in Hawaii after all and was trying to find a way to tell Ruby the bad news. The thought made Ruby's stomach hurt. Oh, Miss Eula, write to me, Ruby wished. She sent the wish out into the universe. She stood up and dusted dirt and straw from her overalls and hitched up her left shoulder strap. She moved Rosebud off the dictionary and closed it. "Later, Rosie," she said. "Stay here and keep an eye on everything. I'm going for a walk. I'll be back soon." Ruby grabbed Miss Eula's straw hat. Dove had kept the other one. She put it on and stared at her reflection in the window. She knew where she was going, even if she wouldn't admit it to herself. She walked down the porch steps and into the sultry August night. She headed for the schoolhouse. Chapter 24. Ruby stepped through the early evening shadows, walking barefoot on a packed dirt road surrounded by wild roses and blackberry vines. Fireflies were just beginning to wink on and off. She didn't have the heart to catch one tonight. Ahead she could see the lights of the schoolhouse like a beacon in the gathering dark. The back door was propped open with a rock. Ruby slipped inside and crept up the back stage steps to the side stage curtains. The chorus was singing "The Old Oaken Bucket," and Mrs. Varnado was playing the piano. Ruby peered through the curtains into the auditorium. Every seat was filled. Ruby spotted her mother sitting with Mr. Ishii. On the other side of Mr. Ishii was Melba Jane's mother. Her 5 other children were sprawled all over the aisle and hanging off seats on the edges of the rows. Ruby peeked onto the stage. Old Ezra Jackson sat in a porch rocker snoozing. 6 more porch rockers held members of the chorus singing the end of their song. Dove was one of them. The porch was decorated with chock-full-o'-nuts coffee cans full of geraniums. Paintings were propped all over the yard like quilts on a line, the ugliest paintings Ruby had ever seen. Standing in front of the porch was Melba Jane. She was holding an oaken bucket, swinging it at her side and taking small measured steps toward the front of the stage, where there was a crudely constructed well. It leaned to the right, and Ruby thought it might fall over if someone touched it. Melba wore a blue checked dress like Dorothy's dress in The Wizard of Oz. No ruby slippers. Her wig, not the same one she'd worn at the bridge, gave her a mass of wild, ink-black hair that fell to her shoulders. With the wig and all the makeup she was wearing, she reminded Ruby of the Wicked Witch of the West wearing the wrong clothes. As the chorus finished singing and Melba walked to the front of the stage, she passed underneath a papier-mâché and construction paper apple tree. The branches were laden with bright red apples that were fixed onto the branches with chicken wire. Melba was smiling. No, she was beaming. Ruby could see how being on stage in front of her public restored Melba, made her happier than just about anything, made her forget her troubles. It was how Ruby felt when she was with Miss Eula, happier than just about anything. Melba began her soliloquy. She spoke in a voice loud enough to peel paint. How dear to my heart, dear, dear, dear to my heart, are the scenes of my childhood. Oh, how dear! Oh, how putrid! Ruby didn't know if she could watch. As Melba approached the well, she passed under the last branch of the apple tree. She hung the bucket on a peg at the well. She held out her arms, stood on her tiptoes, and did 2 complete whirl-arounds. She was about to sing, but she never sang. A piece of chicken wire snagged at her long black wig. Melba kept whirling. The wire kept snagging. Apples fell to the stage, plop, 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 and as Melba Jane stopped her whirl, the apple tree wore a shiny black wig, and Melba Jane Latham stood on the schoolhouse stage in front of the town of Hallelujah, little wisps of hair on a bluish scalp, practically bald. Until next time.